Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast, the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective. As always, feel free to follow us on all the social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And this podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. I promise you, it will be the best call you ever make. And I know personally, my wife just put some moving needs on my to-do list. And guess what? I'm going to call them because I got some heavy furniture. Neil, I'm calling you soon. I need some moving. But they will make your life easier. I promise that. As always, I've got Tyler here with me, man. We're jumping into a big episode today. You ready to get started?
Yeah, man. It's going to be a good episode. It's going to have a lot of good information in it. Get prepared, y'all.
Yeah, before we do that, jumping into our year-end recap featuring a special guest. First, we got to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap-up, which is presented by Trent Bedding. So let's get a word from them.
Don't forget your headboards, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green. All right. Hey!
Twins, full, queen and king, mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
Just like a mattress store. All right, y'all. So we're going to start out. WKU unveiled their new Big Red mascot as the killer crossover Big Red, not the high jump Big Red, as some people may have predicted.
Yeah, some people. I don't know who that could have been. Well, how did they think that was a high jump Big Red? I just thought the timing wise, Katie Iso was about to go, to the NCAA regionals. It made sense, but the killer crossover Big Red looks pretty good. They put up that graphic of him crossing up Michael Jordan back in the day, so I like it. I'll allow it.
Forrest Lamp and Brandon Dowdy are hosting an Inside the Huddle football camp at the Houch on July 12th and 13th.
Yeah, 2-day event. Two former Hilltopper legends. Both of those guys played in the NFL. Kind of been there, done that. So really cool that they're hosting an event here at WKU 2-day event. I think the first day it's younger kids, the second day it's high schoolers specifically. So going to be a really good and big opportunity for a lot of hopefully local kids in the area.
Also, baseball's Mason Burns was named a Stopper of the Year award finalist. Mason Burns was also the first Hilltopper named to the ABCA All-Midwest Region First Team and was named to the NCBWA Third Team All-American, just the fourth Hilltopper All-American.
Yeah, impressive stuff for Mason Burns. I mean, he had an awesome season. He led the nation in saves for most of the season. I think he got overtaken there at the end. And then somehow did not make it onto the All-CUSA postseason teams, not first, second, or third team. Mason Burns was not there, but he's an All-American and he's an All-Midwest region first teamer and a Stopper of the Year finalist. He was on that watch list all year. So great season for Mason. Really proud of him. Helped us win a lot of games this year.
Lady Topper basketball announced the signing of Tia Schelling. Welcome to the Hill, Tia.
Yeah, the first of many signings, new Hilltoppers that were announced in this episode. So, yeah, definitely welcome to the Hill. Looking forward to watching you play.
Pro top David Davis was named an all-UFL wide receiver. David Davis also signed with the Carolina Panthers for a camp deal.
Yeah, pro tops, love to see him get a chance. He was pretty good with the Miami Dolphins a couple of years ago. Had an unfortunate injury, end up, dropping down to the UFL. recovered, had a really good season this last year, and now getting another opportunity in Carolina. So go Daywood. All you need is a chance, man. Go win that spot.
WKU basketball announced some schedule information. They announced a game versus Lipscomb, date to be disclosed. WKU also hosting Wichita State on 11/4, at Grand Canyon on 11/9, and hosting Seattle December 16th. They are the only concrete games and dates and times we know at this time.
Remind me to put those on Facebook. But really good start to the non-conference schedule for basketball. Everybody last year complained about the weakness of the schedule. Looking at this year, we're playing Wichita. We got UK. Grand Canyon's a good team. Look to be a better uptick in the quality of opponents. A couple of those are going to be at home. So looking forward to seeing that full schedule reveal when it happens.
True, because if it ain't on Facebook, it isn't happening. Katie Eisenbarger competed at the NCAA Outdoor Championship in Eugene, Oregon. She cleared 1.77 meters and finished in 21st place and was named an honorable mention All-American.
Yeah, the legend, the GOAT. We talk about her more here shortly in our interview with Todd. Just an immaculate and amazing career, just decorated throughout her years with volleyball. And then went and did the track and field thing. It was just amazing, indoor and outdoor. Won some conference championships. Honorable mention All-American. I didn't put it on here, but recently just competed at the Olympic trials and finished in 12th place in that. So just really outstanding career and representative of WKU for her entire career. So congratulations, Katie.
WKU baseball news, they also got a commit from Miller Green, and he was named Mr. Kentucky Baseball. Congratulations, Miller.
Yeah, that just kind of continues the trend of Coach Rarden just raising the floor and the expectation there. Just when you recruit good players, good things happen. And he's had this guy committed for a while. He goes on his senior year, has a great year, and is named Mr. Kentucky Baseball. So really excited to have him on the hill and looking forward to what he can do to help us win more games.
Phil Steele's preseason All-Conference USA team was announced. First team is Dalvin Smith, Quantavious Tick Leslie, and Hosea Wheeler, Anthony Johnson. Second team was TJ Finley, Elijah Young, and Jaden Lovin. Third team is Marshall Jackson, Kylan Goodry, and Anthony Breckenridge, and Upton Stout. And the fourth team, which I think is this player right here got robbed. I think he should be higher, but fourth team is River Helms.
Yeah, so a lot of Hilltoppers there. I think there was 15 total, if I recall correctly. So just a good amount of Hilltoppers recognized by Phil Steele. We kind of trust him. He's our guide and our Bible as we start to get ready for the season and our position breakdowns coming up soon. We're not always going to agree with everything. I don't also think River Helms is a fourth team tight end. I think he should be higher. I also don't see Upton Stout being a third team defensive back. I mean, he was one of the most highly coveted, a 4-star recruit in the transfer portal, almost went to Michigan. So, third teamer, we'll see about that. I guess we'll let the play on the field tell the true story.
Lady Topper Golf Avery Klein named the Spring Conference USA Spirit of Service winner. Congratulations, Avery.
Yeah, just really cool honor. We had Jalen Dorsey win it in the winter. Now Avery Klein winning it in the spring. So just really awesome to see, our student athlete just being involved in the community and being recognized by the conference. So congratulations, Avery.
Dante Allen announced his transfer to Wyoming.
You hate to see him leave. Dante came in and was here for a couple of years and made a lot of baskets, had a lot of big games, but ultimately decided to test the transfer portal. Just like Brandon Newman did. He went to OK State, and now Dante is officially heading to Wyoming. So best of luck, Dante.
WKU football player Trent Zappi withdrew from the portal, which is good news.
Yeah, we got to keep Bailey's little brother here, man. I mean, Bailey is, literally a legend here. One season, broke the all-time NCAA single-season passing yards and touchdown records. So Trent decided to come here a couple of years ago and tested the portal. I don't know what kind of interest he got, but decided to come out and remain here. Hopefully he plays linebacker. Hopefully we see him get on the field. Just that Zappy name being out there just feels right. Welcome back, Trent.
And that it does. WKU Track and Field announced the signing of Jayla Gilbert. Welcome to the Hill.
Yeah, she's a thrower. If you saw her commitment graphic that Track and Field posted, she's holding the hammer throw device there. So she's somebody I can see coming in and making an impact, right away. I think she looks like a strong girl that's going to have some high finishes. So looking forward to obviously talking about her in the upcoming season.
WKU Tennis announced the signing of Emily Shutt, Elizabeth Zobiski, Carolina Chata, and Mia Miranda. Welcome to the Hill, y'all.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier we have a lot of signings to announce on this episode and this Red Towel wrap up. So WKU Tennis had a quartet of seniors that left, just finished their eligibility. So obviously we got to replace them. Landed a couple transfers there and a couple high school signees. So really excited to see what they bring to the team. We have an experienced team coming back, but we got to add some fresh blood in there and hopefully continue our winning ways.
WKU softball announced the signing of Macy Masters. Welcome to the Hill, Macy.
Yeah, I really trust Amy Tudor and her eye for talent. So if she thinks somebody's going to come in and be a positive addition for us, I'm here for it. So welcome, Macy.
WKU baseball has some portal entries. They are Jace Kirby, Zaid Brannigan, and Dylan Manino. Best of luck, y'all.
Yeah, we say it often on here that we have to celebrate, when the portal giveth. And sometimes the portal also taketh away. I don't know each of those guys' situation or why they decided to test the portal and see what's out there. But, we do appreciate their time and their efforts and their play while they were here representing Western Kentucky. And that's not going to change when they decide to go somewhere else that they feel will be a better fit for them. So best of luck, guys. I appreciate everything you did on the Hill.
Lady Topper Golf announced the signing of Julia Zigrassi. Welcome to the Hill, Julia.
Yeah, another one that, again, Coach Adam Gary has been here for a long time, been there, done that. The women's golf team is really kind of riding a high right now. Got a lot of talent on that team, so I trust that this is going to be a solid addition for that team as well. So welcome to the Hill, Julia.
The NIL store named Colin Stoker the NIL Director of the Year. Congratulations, Collins.
Yeah, it's nice to have someone in position like Colin that is very forward thinking, embraces NIL, is looking for opportunities for our student athletes, looking out for the best interest of our student athletes. And that's exactly what he is and what he does. And for the NIL store to recognize him as the Director of the Year is a pretty prestigious honor for him. So congratulations, Colin.
And last but not least, golfer Katie Craig, currently tied for third at the North and South Amateur Tourney. After 2 rounds, also golfer Nina McMurdy took runner-up in the Kentucky State Amateur Tourney.
Yeah, we talk about that women's golf team a lot, man. Just loaded with talent. Katie Craig has been killing it for the last 2 years. And luckily, we've got another year of her here on the Hill. So great watching her after 2 rounds of stroke play. She's in 3rd place. Now they're entering match play where it's going to be tournament format. I just shared her pairing on Instagram for her first round matchup. I think that's later today. So best of luck with her. We'll be following along and updating as it goes. And then Nina McMurtry finishing runner up in the Kentucky State Amateur Tournament. Hats off for her. I mean, runner up. Yeah, that's still a pretty high honor, pretty good finish. So I'm really proud of both of those.
And that concludes the Red Towel wrap up brought to you by Trent Bedding Company. Back to you, Moth.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just really good and really informative Red Towel wrap up. Just a lot of good news. Hilltoppers coming here. Just a lot of good stuff to talk about. So yes, it had been a little while since we had done one, so we had a lot to catch up on. But now we're going to dive into the main part of our episode, which is recapping the entire 2023-24 athletic season as a whole. We're going to talk about every sport, everything that happened. And luckily, we had a special guest that decided to join us. We had Athletic Director Todd Stewart join us. So let's jump into that interview right now. All right, we'd like to welcome a special guest to the show. We have WKU Director of Athletics Todd Stewart joining us today. Todd, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Great to be with you.
Yes, sir. Now, Tyler and I try to keep track of every sport and athlete and all the games and events and matches as the year goes on. But sometimes it really takes, stepping back at the end of the year and just looking back at the bigger picture to appreciate just how successful all of our programs have been. So how would you summarize the WKU athletic year for the 2023-24 year?
Well, really, I think when you look at it across the board, when you factor in every sport program, it was one of the most successful years we've ever had, just from the standpoint that football won a bowl game for the 7th time in 10 years. Volleyball went to the NCAA tournament again and finished ranked in the top 25. Men's basketball went back to the NCAA tournament. And then from an individual standpoint, we had male and female golfers in NCAA regionals, and Katie Eisenbarger was an All-American in track. And so, if softball had been able to beat Liberty, unfortunately, that was a tough extra inning loss. But if they'd been able to win, that probably would have matched. The 2014 year was the only year we've had a bowl win and 3 different sport programs go to the NCAA tournament. And if softball had beaten Liberty this year, it would have been the same case. We would have won a bowl game and had 3 other programs make an NCAA tournament. But even with that, I think it's still one of the better years we've had across the board.
Oh, for sure. We also like to highlight the success of these student athletes in the classroom. We know that they are very talented in their chosen discipline, but their athletic schedule and a full-time academic load, it is impressive to hear that they are excelling academically as well as on field. The last academic progress report showed another successful year for our athletes. Can you talk about that, and what do you attribute that success to?
Sure. Well, I give the credit, honestly, to our athletes and our coaches. Our coaches recruit true student athletes who are here to get a degree. And obviously our athletes are the ones who do the work. They're the ones that are putting an amount of time in that you have to put in to be successful in whatever sport they're playing, but then have the time management skills to also do whatever you need to do in the classroom and receive good grades and progress towards a degree. And so it makes me feel really good when I see that we have an 88% overall graduation success rate, which is the highest it's ever been in the history of our programs. That tells me that a lot of people are doing the right thing, but really the credit goes to our athletes. They're the ones that are doing the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, a couple of your quotes I love, and one of them I want to touch on is when I hear you say there's no better time to be an athlete at WKU. I think just looking across the board, you see our facility upgrades, you see our investments in our student athletes. We really have embraced the name, image, and likeness, including our very own Colin Stalker just being named the NIL Director of the Year by NIL Store. We have our continued partnership with the Red Towel Trust, and just so many other opportunities that are afforded to our student athletes. So tell us about all the advantages and what you mean for our student athletes when you say there's no better time to be an athlete at Western Kentucky University as there is right now.
Sure. Yeah. Glad to. And really a lot of it, the reasons that you articulated, I think that just the facilities that we have and that we're adding to, the winning culture that we have, the coaching that we have, and then, specifically just the investments that we have made in the last 3 to 5 years alone in specific student athlete centric areas. Such as sports medicine, mental health, strength and conditioning, nutrition, academic advising, career development, all those areas, we've invested more than ever in, just like I said, in the last 3 to 5 years to really help the overall student athlete experience when they're here. And then in the case of the career development area, to prepare them for life after WKU.
And since we're on the subject of facilities, we know that WKU softball and soccer complex just recently opened. The football field got a new turf and playing surface, which it looks amazing. And the press box upgrade is coming along, and it will be completed soon. But a lot of the fans are excited about the Topper Fieldhouse addition. How huge and impactful are these upgrades for our student athletes?
Well, they're huge. I think that, obviously we aren't going to be able to outspend everybody in this current climate, but we can out everything else, everybody. We can out experience everybody. And the facilities and the areas that athletes train in is very important. And you know, in the last 10 years, we've done almost $15 million of improvements to our athletic facilities. A lot of it's locker room and team areas, but also the Philip Hatchett golf facility, you know, the soccer softball complex that you just referenced. But the two big ones that we're really missing were the press box, which will be open this year, and that a lot of that is obviously for out of town people coming in. But you know, I think our football program has progressed so much that to have a 1968 press box, and that's really what we've been operating out of. That press box is the same as it was in 1968, where you have to go up through the stands. I mean, that's just not really where our program is anymore. And so, beginning this football season, that will change, and that'll be great. And then the field house is really kind of the granddaddy of them all, so to speak. I mean, that's something that has been sorely needed, and that'll be an area. Obviously, football will be the primary tenant there, but every sport program will be able to use that, and the band will be able to practice in there as well. And you know, it also will make baseball better than ever, because the size of the footprint of that building, unfortunately, in the short term, will necessitate having the baseball clubhouse and hitting facility will have to be torn down, but then that'll be rebuilt back in the Hilltopper Fieldhouse. So baseball will have a setup that will have brand new locker rooms, brand new coaches' offices, their own weight room, their own team room. You know, that'll be a fantastic setup for them, beginning with, for them, the 2026 season. So really, from the summer of 25, and that when that Fieldhouse gets finished, we'll be in the best position we've ever been in from a facility standpoint.
Yeah, I love when you said we can out-experience everybody, because you know, I've long believed, I feel like I've heard other coaches say that if we can get recruits on campus, you know, we really like our chances at landing them, just because we know we have a beautiful and wonderful campus. And when we're just upgrading everything across the board, I mean, that's only going to help our chances. Now, obviously, consistent success is the goal for any program, and we can't really talk about consistency at WKU without talking about Tyson Helton and the football program. You know, they may have come short on some of their own team goals this past season, but they still did win 8 games and had that remarkable comeback victory in the famous Toaster Bowl over ODU. You know, how is it that you think Coach Helton has been able to successfully navigate the transfer portal in the NIL world that we live in today, and to continue to consistently put a winning and entertaining product on the field?
Well, he's always in tune with whatever's going on. I mean, he has the pulse of our locker room, and therefore he has the respect of our players, and he's willing to adapt. You know, you've got to be nimble in this new age. I mean, there's so many things have changed in just the last couple of years in college athletics, and so you've got to be flexible. You've got to be willing to adapt, and he is. I mean, he's able to do that, and you know, he navigates the portal very well. He accepts that as the reality of the new world that we're in, and you know, his ability to do that and not just be stubborn and resistant. And, you know, obviously when you have success, you lose people, and we've lost assistant coaches, but he's always has somebody ready to fill in and plug into that spot. So, I mean, I think it's just his ability to react quickly has been huge. And, you know, I really feel very, very good about our football program as a whole. I mean, we all remember the days of 2-10, 0-12, 2-10. I mean, those were brutal, but you know, to go from that and now have a 10-year period where we've won 7 bowl games, and you know, to be able to say only Alabama, Wisconsin, and Georgia have more bowl wins over the last 10 years than Western Kentucky. I mean, that's because of a lot of people, you know, that have put a lot of time in, and certainly our players, but you know, most recently Tyson. In the 5 years he's been here, we've been to a bowl game all 5 years, and we won it 4 of those. You know, we're not about just making the bowl game, we're about winning a bowl game. And you know, as the leader of our football program, he's done a terrific job.
Now, if we're going to talk about success, the epitome of consistency and winning on the hill has been Travis Hudson and the volleyball program. Now entering his 30th season, just how remarkable is his sustained success over the last decade plus?
It's beyond remarkable. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on Travis Hudson and volleyball and not get to everything. You know, it's amazing. I mean, I tease Travis every year. You know, I say, you don't rebuild, you just reload, and it's true. You know, and they make it look easy, and I hope that people don't take it for granted, because it's not easy, even though they make it look easy. And there'll be a day when we aren't in the top 25 and we aren't going to the NCAA tournament. And I hope people have been able to enjoy this current run that we've been on. and continue to enjoy it. I mean, we don't have any plans on it ending anytime soon, but it will end at some point. And I think people will look back on this as just being a remarkable run, because when you think about it, I mean, there's over 300 volleyball programs in the country, and everybody wants to be good at volleyball. It's not a niche sport like, lacrosse, and I'm not demeaning lacrosse, but I mean, just something where not many people have the sport. I mean, everybody has volleyball and everybody wants to be good at it. And so with over 300 programs, the fact that there's only 12 in the last 5 years have been ranked in the top 25 in the final poll and also won an NCAA tournament match. And Western Kentucky is one of those 12. I mean, when we say, known by the company you keep, I mean, look at those 12 schools, that's on that list, and volleyball is part of that. So it's been a special run. It really, truly has.
Yeah, we need more people to get out to those games. Now, attendance has really gone up, but man, I tell everybody, I've said it on this podcast, the volleyball games are the most fun environment and most exciting sport you're going to go watch. No lull in the action. Now, our men's basketball team has historically been one of the better programs in college basketball. Obviously the hiring of Coach Steve Lutz immediately returned us to our expectations of making an NCAA tournament appearance. Even though he's now moved on to Oklahoma State, we promoted Coach Plona, and we're returning a bulk of the roster that should really pay dividends for the continuity. So how impressive was that job last year by the staff, and what are your expectations for the upcoming season?
Well, it's crazy to think that we actually went 10 years and didn't go to an NCAA tournament, but I think sometimes when you tell people that, or when people see that, if they're not necessarily in tune with our program, they may think that it was an awful 10-year period. And it really wasn't. It was actually a really good 10-year period in terms of some of the wins that we had. I believe we had 11 Power 5 wins in a 5-year stretch alone under Rick Stansberry. But as everybody knows, we just couldn't get over the hump and get to the NCAA tournament, and losing 3 straight games, 3 straight times in the conference tournament championship, was hard. And, then the last couple of years before Steve came in here, I really did feel like we kind of got off track a little bit. We had kind of veered in a different direction. And so, we needed somebody to come in here to bring a level of accountability and structure and discipline to our program that I think we were lacking, and obviously win, and then ultimately get us back to the NCAA tournament. And I really felt confident that all that would happen under his leadership. I would be lying to you if I said I thought it would all happen in year one. I'm thrilled that it did. But because it did, coupled with what he had done at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and then the pedigree that he had at Creighton and Purdue, it's obviously made him a hot commodity. And so I hated to lose him. But, the good thing is, much like Bobby Petrino, when Bobby was here, I knew he wouldn't be here forever, but I hoped he would hire a really good staff, and that if and when he left, his replacement would already be here and we could have continuity. And it was. I mean, that was Jeff Brom. And I feel the same way with this. I feel like Steve Lutz hired a very, very good staff. Hank Plona played a huge role in everything last year. Our fans obviously not as familiar with assistant coaches as they are the head coach, but Hank was involved in every aspect of our program, had the respect of our players, for the right reasons. And I just felt like, that coupled with the fact that he had successful head coaching experience before he came here, made him ready for the job, and really the best person to keep the continuity going with so much of the roster back. And, hopefully we can pick up where we left off. That's certainly our goal.
Speaking of immediate impact hires, such as Coach Rardon on the baseball program, he has been one of since he's been hired, the baseball team has seen immediate upswing in success, since he's been here. How has he rebuilt the culture and expectations in such a short time here at WKU?
He's done a terrific job. I mean, that's another one where, obviously I was confident in what I thought he would do. We wouldn't have hired him. But, if you'd have told me that him coming in here after us finishing 12th place in Conference USA the year before he was hired, I think we were 18-36. And if you'd have told me that we'd reel off back-to-back seasons of more than 30 wins for the first time since 2010 and 11, and then, this past year I think had the best season we've had in 15 years, I would have said, well, that'd be great if that happens, but that's pretty ambitious. But I think he's a winner. He's a winner at everything he does. The 20 years he was at Iowa Western, he did nothing but win. And obviously at a junior college, you're turning that roster over frequently. And so I think that prepared him well, honestly, probably more so than than many of our other coaches at roster turnover, because that's the world he lived in, for 20 years that we're all living in now, but it's relatively new to the Division I level. And so he's used to turning the roster over on a regular basis. He's a winner. He instills the right fundamentals and discipline in players, and he's hired a good staff. I mean, you're only as good as the people that are around you. And I think with Rob Fournier and Dylan Napoleon and the other members of their staff, he's surrounded himself with really good people, and they hit the ground running. And they've turned this thing around quite a bit, and I'm very, very excited about the direction we're headed there. And obviously with them having a new facility coming online a year from now too will really help that program.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, staying on the diamond, and you touched on this earlier, but the softball Lady Toppers, they had just a spectacular season. They've had a really fun stretch of years. Like you said, they advanced all the way to the Conference USA Championship game, ultimately falling to Liberty in extra innings. But really, it was a terrific season, and that was a great way, in my opinion, even though they didn't win, came up just short. That was a great way to send out that special group of seniors that we had on the team. So tell us about those girls in that season that they had.
Well, it's going to be really, really weird next year to be at a softball game and look out there and not see Taylor Sanders at third base and TJ Webster at short. I'm used to that every game, and then Briley Hage in center, and then obviously Katie Gardner as a pitcher. With the COVID year, I mean, we had 5 years of that group, and so I don't even remember what it was like when they weren't here. So that'll be weird, but we certainly benefited from all 4 of them because they had great careers. And obviously Taylor Sanders leads as the all-time leader in home runs and with a single season home run record. So those are pretty special records. And that group won a lot as well. And I hated it for them, that we lost that game to Liberty in extra innings, just because I think it would have been so fitting and so symbolic for them to have ended their careers in the NCAA tournament, because that's really kind of where they began. I mean, the 2020 year was their first year here. And then COVID ended that year before we really got into conference play. And then in 2021, which was their freshman year, that's when we went to the NCAA tournament in Athens. And then so to have it bookended by NCAA tournament appearances would have been very symbolic. But life doesn't always work that way. But it doesn't take away from all that they achieve from both an individual and a team standpoint, because year in and year out, I mean, we're in the hunt for a conference championship, and I know there's a lot of respect for the softball program nationwide as well.
We know some other programs that have enjoyed success this past year was the men and women's golf team. Coach Gary and Coach King both had athletes competing in the NCAA regionals in Katie Craig and Luke Fuller. Katie's actually still competing right now and is tied for third in the North and South Amateur at Pinehurst. How impressive was these season finishes by Katie and Luke?
Well, it was great. And really, I mean, I guess the best way to answer that is, in the history of WKU athletics, we've never had a year where we had a men and a women's golfer go to the NCAA regionals in the same year. And they did that. And obviously in Katie's case, it was the second straight year she's been to the regionals. We'd never had a female golfer go to an NCAA regional. And now she's done it twice in a row, and the best thing is she can go for the three-peat. We have another year there. She'll be back, and so that'll be great. And then on the men's side, it was really just a very good story with Luke Fuller. You're talking about somebody who came here as a walk-on, and then was here for 5 years and stayed the course through some ups and some downs, both as a team standpoint and him playing as an individual, but. He's a case study of perseverance and dedication, and he's a class guy. And so, I talked about how it would have been really fitting if those seniors could have ended their career in the NCAA tournament. Fortunately, it was very fitting that Luke Fuller's career did end in the NCAA tournament. I mean, for him to play the final regular season match of his career, that being a winning match in the Conference USA tournament was just awesome. And then for him to be able to go on to an NCAA regional was much deserved, and obviously elevated our program as well.
Yeah, another program that we have to touch upon is our track and field program. Recently they had 3 individuals that qualified for NCAA regionals, and one of those is very familiar to us in Katie Eisenbarger. I feel like we were talking about her every episode on here, going all the way back to her volleyball days. She got to qualify and then compete in the NCAA outdoor championships. Now, we know that the Olympic sports don't always get the recognition that they deserve, but how impressive was this track and field season, especially as a bookmark or just a ribbon on the career of Katie Eisenberger's career here at Western?
Yeah, well, it's also going to be, it's going to be weird not having, like I said, the softball players out there next year. I'm going to go through withdrawal next year, not having Katie Eisenberger as a student athlete. After 6 years, I don't remember what it was like when she wasn't here. And obviously many of those years it was volleyball and track at the same time. But she'll go down as one of the greatest all around athletes in the history of WKU athletics, from the standpoint that on the individual side, she was an all-conference player in volleyball and helped that team to multiple conference championships and NCAA tournaments. And then on the track side, I mean, she was an All-American both indoor and outdoor track, and won Conference USA championships in indoor and outdoor track as well. And so just the versatility of her success and the uniqueness of it has been truly special.
I would like to switch gears a little bit and talk on the current state of Conference USA. Sorry about my dogs barking in the back if you can hear them. Just a few short years ago, there was a lot of uncertainty surrounding the conference after a few of our members decided to jump ship and go to the Sun Belt Conference and the AAC. There was even discussions about us possibly joining the MAC conference. I feel that Conference USA did a great job of finding competitive additions, and we have more on the way with Kennesaw State joining officially July 1st here in a few days, and then Delaware and Missouri State joining in 2025. Given those additions and the new media deal, how do you like the stability of Conference USA moving forward, even if it does not look like it did back in 2014 when we joined?
Yeah, no, a great question. I guess I would start by saying I do feel much better today than I felt probably in the fall of 2021. I mean, there was just a lot of uncertainty when those 6 schools that left, and frustration over the fact that, another conference wanted them, even though some of them really weren't that successful. But it's not necessarily about that, unfortunately. It's about other things. And, not to veer off course, but, one thing I would share with you guys, the AD at I probably shouldn't name his name, but the AD at one of the former Conference USA schools is a good friend of mine. And I was talking to him, and we talk all the time, but I was talking to him, when all that happened. And, he said, Todd, the reality of it is, because my frustrations were, how do we get left back? We're the one winning championships, and we have people go to our games. We have crowds, and some of these other schools don't even have people go to their games. And, he just said, Todd, it's just about markets. And he said, if everything about Western Kentucky was exactly the same, but you were in Nashville, you'd be number one on everybody's list. But the reality is we're not in Nashville, and that's not a knock at Bowling Green, because Bowling Green's a great place to be. But what we have to do is just focus on what we can control and try to differentiate ourselves as best we can. And so with the conference, it wasn't in a great place in 2021, but I feel like the schools we've added have been very competitive. They really have. And I didn't know a lot about some of them when they were added, and I know our fans really didn't. But then if you see the way like Jacksonville State football and New Mexico State football has gone, and obviously Liberty's strong across the board. And, I just think that from a competitive standpoint, the conference is in a very good spot. I mean, it really is. The toughest challenge is, and it's not immune to Conference USA, it's just when Delaware comes in our league a year from now, we literally will stretch from Dover, Delaware to Las Cruces, New Mexico. So that's a large swath of territory. That's probably a lot of electoral votes, between Dover, Delaware, and Las Cruces, New Mexico. You could probably win an election if you could carry Conference USA. But it's not just us, I mean, you look at what the Big Ten's become, you look at what the ACC's become. I mean, the geographic challenges are really something that most people are facing. But as a whole for our league and with the new TV deal, if you want me to talk about that, I'm happy to. I think having the midweek games has really helped us from an exposure standpoint. It's different. But when you're on TV on a Saturday, it's always good to be on TV, but there's so many other choices, you get lost in the shuffle. But when we're on during the week, many times we're the only college football game on at that time. So every sports bar in America has the WKU Red Towel logo on their screen, on our helmet and on our field and on our uniform. And so that helps a lot. Recruits see that, and that notoriety has really helped us tremendously, and was part of the reason why we had, we did a study with the Nielsen Company. We had $44 million worth of media exposure, this past year, and those midweek football games were a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, talking about former conference mates, you mentioned you still keep in touch now. Our former affiliate with Marshall, our former rival there in the Moonshine Throwdown podcast. I've seen you chime in on this conversation on Twitter a few times. There's constant talk and chatter just amongst fans, obviously, of
Hmm.
people that want that rivalry. The basketball side, the football side, they want that rivalry to renew. Everything I've seen from your table, your desk has been, hey, we're open to it. But how realistic is that conversation, and are we any closer to that actually coming to fruition?
I think we are. When I say the old Conference USA, when we had the 14 members, I think the three that our fans identified with the most were Middle Tennessee, who we're obviously still with, excuse me, UAB and Marshall, who we're not with. So I would very much like for us to play UAB and Marshall and as many things as we can, because I think that those are good regional rivalries that our fans identified with. We were very, very close, and Hank Polona tried very hard. He was very much of an advocate of this as well. We were very close to getting Marshall on the basketball schedule this year, and then it happened until it didn't, I guess is what I would say. But I'm optimistic there. I really think, because we came so close to getting that going, that I think on the basketball side with both of those, UAB and Marshall, I think you'll see them both on our schedule in the very near future. They're not this year, but hopefully beginning as soon as 2025, 2026, that they're both on there, because that's certainly our goal. Football is a little more challenging because it's so many of the games are scheduled out years ahead, and you don't have as many games. But I think we would love to play Marshall and everything. I just think that became such a healthy rivalry with our fans and their fans too. I think if you polled their fans, they'd probably like to see us on their schedule more so than a lot of people that are on their schedule. And hopefully we can get that done for everybody's sake, because I think that those are the kind of games and rivalries that are good for college athletics.
Oh, for sure. I mean, those games were awesome to watch, awesome to be a part of, and experience. But staying on the subject of scheduling, with the current landscape to college athletics and the realignment and the expansion of the college football playoffs, are you finding it harder to find programs that are willing to schedule us? And I know we used to be very creative in combining football and basketball agreements to make those games happen. But how has that process changed over the last few years?
A little bit, unfortunately, one thing I thought we were kind of onto something when we did the combination football basketball series with both Wisconsin and Arkansas, but then we beat them both in basketball, and I think people saw that, and now they don't want to do that, and actually, I don't even mind saying this. Arkansas's coach at the time, Eric Musselman, he wanted no part of that series because he wasn't the head coach when we cut that deal. They had another head coach, and when he took over, he honestly did everything he could to not make that happen. And I give their athletic director credit for finally stepping in and saying, no, we signed the deal and you have to go play that game, because he didn't want to come to Bowling Green. And then thankfully we beat him, and now he knows why he didn't want to come to Bowling Green. But yeah, it's very hard to get the games. And then, like in the case of Arkansas's basketball, once you get them, then it's hard to keep them. I mean, they try to get out of them. But we'll keep trying to do that. Recently, obviously we played Ohio State in football last year. We played Georgia in football next year, and we offered the same deal to both of those. We said we'll take less on the football game if you do a home and home in men's basketball. And honestly, it was just a non-starter. I thought it'd be kind of a reach with Ohio State. I mean, that's, I wasn't really expecting them to do that. I thought Georgia might, though. Georgia's played here in the past in basketball, but there's just no interest in that. So those are going to be harder games to get. But what we've done is, we have Wichita State on the schedule now, and like I said, UAB, and I think we'll be able to, get some matchups like that. And Hank very much wants to play Louisville and Kentucky. We're obviously playing Kentucky in Rupp this coming year, and so we'll keep playing those games as much as we can and do everything we can to get entertaining games in Ditto Arena.
Man, looking forward to that. Todd, we're going to let you get out of here. We really appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your busy schedule, and just talking about, WKU sports, especially this past year, and another successful athletic year on the Hill. Obviously, we're looking forward to another athletic year coming up, start July 1, and then football and volleyball not far behind. So we appreciate you coming on.
Well, I appreciate you having me. And, I think it's an exciting time for college athletics. There's a lot going on. One of our sayings is comparison is the enemy of happiness. We can all find programs that have more than we do, but we can also find a lot that don't have as much as what we have. And so I'm excited about where we are and where we're headed. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about that, and appreciate all that you guys do to help us promote WKU athletics.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Go Tops. Later,
Go
guys.
Tops.
Yes, sir.
Man, what an awesome interview. Really appreciate Todd taking time out of his day and joining us to talk about the Hilltoppers, athletics, and just everything good and positive going on the Hill right now. All the athletes, all the coaches, all the programs, all the facility upgrades, just everything that we have going on right now. It just feels like a really good and really special time on the Hill. Like you said, there's no better time to be a Hilltopper than there is right now. With everything going on within our athletic program, with what we're investing into our student athletes, into our facilities, into our coaches, all the player opportunities with NIL. It's just a good time to be on the Hill. Bowling Green's obviously a beautiful place to us. Campus is amazing. So, really, really excited to recap what was a very strong and successful athletic season. And now, we kind of closed the book on 23-24. And now we start to look forward to the 24-25 athletic season that officially begins on July 1st. Conference USA will be officially welcome Kennesaw State to the conference. Then obviously we'll have football and volleyball, basketball, not far behind starting. And we'll be jumping into our position breakdown series beginning next week with the coaches. That will be our first position that we do, and then we'll literally go through each position just like we did last year, leading up to our season prediction episode 2 weeks out from the season, and then our season one, our week one rather, game preview versus Alabama. Really looking forward to this series. I remember talking with you last year, off the record, just about this being one of my favorite parts of the podcast process is really diving in and talking about every single athlete, not just in all sports as we have events and games and matches, but when we start diving into football, we literally talk about every single player on the roster, starter, second string, third string, doesn't matter. If you're on this roster, we are going to name your name and talk about you, give your height and weight, your number, and just talk about what you may contribute to this team. And it's going to make us, you and I, both of us are going to be better fans. We're going to be more knowledgeable. When we see someone make a play on the field, we're going to know who that number is and who that player is and where they came from. And I think it's really beneficial to us, and obviously for the listeners that are keeping up at home, if they're listening weekly, obviously we appreciate that. I think it's going to make you all better fans. Every year you got turnover, people leave via the portal. They exhaust their eligibility. They could medically retire. They just don't come back. You're recruiting high school players, portal players, JUCO players. There's a lot of movement every single year. So, sitting down with each position group and just breaking those down, talking about them, really just kind of start to get you ready for that college football season. Because it's like, I think it's 60 some odd days away as of right now. So it's closer than you think. I mean, we're 2 months away from that season beginning and going to Alabama and, upsetting the Tide. So, I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. Again, really grateful for Todd joining us to talk about, the year that we just completed, and really looking forward to getting this next season kicked off. So, Tyler, give us your final words and take us on out of here.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, whenever we get the preview for the football team, it is kind of like homework, but this homework I don't mind doing. I actually really enjoy it. And getting to study the players, getting to learn about them, and see what they can do. So whenever I am watching a game, and say I'm watching TV like last year whenever I was down in North Carolina watching the USF game, and I saw a play, I was like, hey, that's Dalvin Smith, or that's River Helms. It was awesome. And get to kind of share that with my friends and tell them what this player's good at, what this player not very good at. I mean, it is kind of awesome, man. It is cool to get to learn about them. during that Todd interview, it was kind of, I guess, eye-opening to hear about when Eric Musselman did not want to come up here and play. I mean, that kind of shocked me. I know another football program from up north that does not want to play us. I guess it had to do something with beating them back-to-back years. I wish they would. I would like to play Kentucky again. I feel like we could really beat them and shut some of their fans up because for some reason they think they own this state. Bullcrap. But no, I mean, that was a great interview getting to talking to Todd. And man, this year's flying by, dude. I mean, it just seemed like just the other day it was what, April, and now we're at the end of March, or end of June, about to turn the chapter and open up the book on the next athletics year. So this is awesome. But with that, I will say, guys, it's no better time to be a Hilltopper fan. And Moff, as I always say, who has it better than us, man?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Go Tops.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See you.
On Topper Talk.